I have some special guests coming on. We're going to do a little small tribute to one of our own who, a decade ago, left us unexpectedly. And we're going to be talking about the great dancer, Ron Arciaga. We also have some special guests with us that I want to bring on board to speak. This is something special. This is something that doesn't get done every day. It's not something that happens on a regular basis. But we here at Alma del Barrio are a community with all of you. This is a tribute to someone who was well known to us here at Alma del Barrio and a legend. And for many, a pioneer in the dancing salsa community who sadly left us 10 years ago on Cinco de Mayo Eve, which will be tomorrow night. And I want to thank Tom Schnabel and Nikki Braydon for coming on board. Ron was a renowned dancer, choreographer, teacher in the LA area who was involved in film, TV, theater projects. In the 80s, I remember he was like one of the first ones to bring authentic mambo dancing lessons into the local clubs. But to tell us a little bit more about that, we have Nikki Braydon, who's Ron's wife, and Tom Schnabel. Nikki, tell us a little bit about your memories and about Ron. And I thank you for reaching out. This is a special occasion, the 10th anniversary of his passing. What can you tell us, Nikki?
Oh, well, first of all, Nelson, thank you so much for doing this for Ron and in his honor, and for maybe anybody who has been a long time who's out there and remembers him. And thank you, Tom, so much for being on. And, I just want to say that anything that I have to say is really just from a personal point of view. Just from my experience and obviously being close to the scene. But, I don't have it's not from any professional point of view, from the music world, the Latin world, or the dance world, although I was closely involved. And I guess the thing that I would say the most, from my point of view, is that Ron was really dedicated to, and I think known for, really teaching and representing authentic dancing, going back way with all the true traditions, which I was not brought up with, but he brought that kind of style and authenticity, to other people and of different nationalities that wouldn't have a chance to learn it. And I think that the musicians really respected that of him and appreciated it. I mean, everywhere that we would go and show up, all the musicians called him maestro, and I think that was quite a compliment to him, and because he was complimenting, the brilliance and beauty of their music by trying to help people dance to that, authentically to the various styles. I mean, he did folklorico and everything. And I just want to say one thing, but I want Tom to pipe in and tell some stuff from his point of view. But one thing that was so funny when I first started dancing with him, I was just wide-eyed, and I would point out to people that were like just jumping around and, flailing their arms and very fancy. And I thought, oh, look, those are great dancers. And he would just, I don't know if I should say this on air, but he would just roll his eyes at me and like laugh quietly inside, and then he would point over at some like amazing Latino or Latina and just say, that's good dancing, and they were just, inside them was, quiet, amazing rhythm. And
I was exactly the same way. I was exactly the same way as Ron when I moved here from New York to the West Coast, and I was watching people amazed with certain dancers, and I'm like, is that dancing? Over the years, I learned it was a West Coast thing, and I learned to adapt and to be a more pleasant person in evaluating people. And one thing I remember about Ron, and I read about Ron, was that Ron would be a person who he would look at you dancing, see what you did, and then try to work with that. Other people try to reconstruct you. And Ron was more of I look at, see what Nikki's steps are or Tom's steps are, and then I know what I have to work with and where I need to help them so they could get to where they want to be.
Oh, that's a great point. I didn't realize that, but when you say it, that makes a lot of sense, and now I can look back and see that.
It should make good sense for a good teacher, to observe and be able to work with what you have, because sometimes you do have two left feet, and you have to try to convert one of them into a right foot. Tom, I understand.
He was an amazing dancer, but he was an amazing teacher. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because you're reminding me of something, which is, being a good dancer and being a good teacher, two different things. And he had a studio, and besides Latin stuff, he taught everything, including hip hop. And he would hire teachers. And I remember this amazing hip hop teacher came in. I'll try to be fast with this. And he said, "Okay, show me what you got." And the guy did his routine. It was like stunning. And then he said, "Okay, show me how you're going to teach that." And the guy just repeated his routine. And it's like, how is that going to help somebody learn, And so he was really good at breaking things down, and I used to assist him in class eventually. And I'd see people struggling with things, and I would say, well, tell them that, or why don't you tell them to raise their hand, or do this, or do that? And he'd shake his head, and he would wait, and I'd get frustrated. And he would wait on purpose a little bit so that then the person would ask the question. And then when he gave him the answer, or at the right time that he would explain that little component, it made sense to them, rather than him just giving out too much information.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
He was a great teacher. Yeah.
Tom, how did you get involved with Ron?
First of all, Nelson Rodriguez, I have to tell you, sometimes I'm afraid your head might explode, because you know so much about Latin music. So sometimes I worry about you. When something was recorded, when RRMM signed the band, who was the lead vocalist, who did the choral, who did the trombone solo. It staggers me. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I love that.
You're welcome. I love doing that.
I've been a subscriber for a long time, and I just want to say, Ron was special. He was my first teacher. I went to Cadalejas, I went to the Sportsman's Lodge, and I used to watch people dancing. And I liked the scene because there were all different kinds of people there, different races of people. There was no velvet rope. It wasn't like some sort of Hollywood club scene. And I liked that. And I liked old people, young people, The first time I think I went to Sportsman's Lodge, I saw about a 6'4" black woman dancing with a 5'2" white guy, an old guy, and they were dancing. And I said, "Oh my God, this is really inclusive. This is just awesome."
Absolutely.
So that was great. So I wanted to learn how to dance, and I knew Ron because of Alan Geik, because Alan Geik, always said, see Ron if you want dance lessons, see Ron. So I went to his studio, and I took lessons from him, and later I took group lessons when he was in Santa Monica. And what I like about Ron Arciaga is that he was an elegant dancer. He didn't try to do some sort of fancy thing. He didn't. One of the things that I hated about the Congo room is that people would be doing show-off stuff, and the guy would, throw his woman around, and my better half got healed in the leg one too many times and just said, no, we're not going back there anymore.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Ron was an elegant dancer. And he also was a really good teacher. When we took group lessons, he would always end it with a little descarga. And I remember the song that he did, and he would just get up in front of the class and just move to it. And so we're moving to it, but I'm looking at, I think half the pleasure of taking that group class was just watching him dance to the Orchestra Guayacan at the end, and the descarga. He's just so elegant and smooth, and God, it was just so fantastic. So I thank him for giving me the lessons, getting me started in dancing, for his group lessons, and what he gave to Los Angeles and the salsa community, because it was very, very high quality, and we remember him for that very reason and thank him.
Wow.
So
awesome.
Nelson's going to play the piece that Alan Geik, thank you for helping me remember which Guayacan Orchestra, Colombian band, that Alan used to play, Descarga, at the end of his group lessons in Santa Monica.
I definitely want to send shout-outs to Alan Geik, or one of our mentors here at Alma del Barrio, and you yourself, Tom, with what you do over at your Rhythm Planet. Oh my God! They talk about eclectic music from all parts of the world, and you're a genius at that. I learned so much from you, so I also look up to you. Want to send shout outs also out to Vegas to David Romero. Used to be the conga player at Ron's dance classes. Nikki, he was the guy that.
Cool.
Thank you for saying who it was, because he would have the live trio.
Sure.
On the Sunday night classes.
Yep. And
thank you for saying his name.
David was there doing that. I want to thank you guys, both of you. I mean, I know you got to run, Tom. Nikki, is there anything else that you remember about him? I mean, it's 10 years since it's passed by. Anything special that you want the audience to know about Ron?
Well, just how really committed he was, and he really took it seriously. I mean, he really wanted to help people. He was very protective. I think that was his nature. He was protective of the tradition and the quality of the dance. He was protective of the musicians and the music. He was protective of women, that they weren't being taken advantage of. He was just really protective in a positive way. And one other funny thing I just have to say is, again, with the authenticity, like there would be a danzón, and, the quiet elegance of that. And every people that didn't know were like, flailing around doing the cha-cha. And so, sorry, that just came to my mind. But really just how committed he was. And I just thank you guys for that. And on a personal note, of course, I still miss him and think of him every day. And just glad to be able to honor him, and thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Tom, you hit it right on the nail when you said that dancing, to me, the ultimate dancer is the elegant, sophisticated dancer. You don't have to dance at 150 miles an hour, throwing people through the air, bouncing them off a wall, and hoping they come back to you sometime. I
so agree with that. When I've watched Alan Geik dancing, it's old school mambo from New York Palladium, and it's something that you don't really see in the clubs here, except maybe with some older people, whatever. And it is so cool. It's just so restrained, and yet every move is like filled with energy and passion, but it's restrained.
I see that. I love it. It's so rare. It sticks out, and it's so amazing.
Yeah, some of the most...
You described it so
I was going to say that
Tom.
Some of the most elegant dancers I've ever seen in my life are little old Cuban men dancing out in Cuba, and they're actually dancing several octaves lower than the clave, but on clave, but at a different speed. So they look like they're in slow motion while the girl's going a little bit faster. But they do it in such a perfect dancing style that you look at it and you're like amazed, and you're like, how can they do that? They'll go all the way down, come all the way up, spinning, but right on cue. Yet they're dancing a little slow, and it's so elegant. I'm like, man, I want to learn to dance that, but I can't do that because if I go down, I'm not coming up. I'm at that stage in my life.
Cool. Yeah, I get it. Me too.
But I want to thank both of you for being here. I'm glad we did this, and give honor Ron Arciaga. Guys, look him up. He's one of our heroes here in the West Coast. I wish we had more like him. That's an art that's kind of been lost, because now everybody is a teacher at some club somewhere. Back then, there were only a few, and they were really good, and there was a reason for that. Today, everybody, they go to a dance concert, a salsa congress, and they're told that they're good. They start a class the next day teaching. That's not the way it is. Tom, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Nikki. This has been a great remembrance of Ron Arciaga. We remember him fondly. Let's hear his closing descarga that he would always end his group lessons with, that I loved attending in Santa Monica.
This is Guayacán Orquesta, and the name of the song is Guaguancó Callejero. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Nelson. Thanks so much.
foñoñoño, foñoñoño, foñoñoño. Foñoñoño, foñoñoño, foñoñoño.
A la cumiele coahuyensa, a la cumiele coahuyensa, a la cumiele coahuyensa, ango, 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 ango en de bochona, ango, ango, ango en de bochona. Sabana que confunde la gente, dicho sabana que confunde la gente. El mamá lo entienden, si se viniera campana. Allá menos tú sientes y tú la vacua, que Chana le dice y toca guaguancó. Y llamándole y llamando en el coro sonoro, como bello abaneco, un armonioso compás. ¿Cuánto vale?
Ave María Morena.
De Guaguancó, Villares.
Ave María Morena.
Ven, baila mi rumba buena.
Ave María.
Oye, mami, ven, 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 mamá.
Ave María Morena.
Ven y ven, baila mi rumba buena.
Ave María Morena.
Oye, mami, aquí te traigo yo con Guayacán.
Ave María
ven, vacila, que el rumbo en Belén no es pa' mañana.
Ave María Morena.
Te dedica Guayacán.
Ave María.
Oye, para que goce y le vuele de palo a palo como Tarzán.
Ave María Morena.
Guaguancó no se vacuna.
Ave María Morena.
Con este tema este mundo se alborotó.
Ave María Morena.
Lo que traigo es sabor.
Ave María Morena.
No viene de Nueva York. Oye, mira que este son viene del África. Si acá no se puede gozar, yo me devuelvo para allá. Ahí nomás. Oye, los caballeros, y esto va directo hasta Caney. Ya tú sabes. Vacílalo. Vaya, vaya, Borinquen. Puerto Rican men. Buenaventura, qué lindo eres. ¿Cómo? Le estás dando con el dedo gordo, ¿no? Y te voy arriba con Guayacán, y te voy arriba con Guayacán, ¿oíste? ¿Cómo?
Guaguancó Callejero by Orquesta Guayacán from 1991 on the album 5 Años, Aferrado al Sabor. Toño Cistera was on the vocals. Israel Tannenbaum was the arranger and the pianist, un Boricua, a Puerto Rican living out in Colombia. He went out there for a bit and stood for a long time. And for the longest, I thought he was Colombian because that's where I started learning about him. But he's a Puerto Rican that just a couple of years ago did the Latin jazz album Impressions and is working now with his own record label, Latin Bound Records. And that's something to look forward to. He's bringing out a lot of different artists, including Edgardo Cambón from the Bay Area, from Montevideo, Uruguay. Thanks to Nikki and Tom for being on the show.